All right. Hello, everyone. Uh, Welcome to Lesson Learned. We are a Mythcraft talk, conversation, and normally I am joined with guests, but today I'm running solo. I'm Corey Griffin, and I'll be your host through the Kleppen lineage today. Um, so okay, so just some like general stuff about Kleppen. I know sometimes we have a bit of a banter between me and everyone before we get started. Sadly, I have no co-host today to do that with, so I'm just going to talk Kleppen. Kleppen, I find to be some of the most creative and fun lineages of Mythcraft. They're, I'll get into it in a minute what they actually are, but I find them to be very fun, small little creatures. So, Kleppen are normally between like 2'6" and like 3'8", and they can weigh between 30 and 50 pounds. They are size based small, which I mean, considering how much they weigh, their height, kind of makes sense. I think this is the first small lineage that we've talked about on the channel. Their base speed is 20 feet. And now here's what I find to be like the fun part about Kleppen, right? Is that like Kleppen are essentially sentient small woodland critters ranging from mice and squirrels to badgers and raccoons. To be completely honest, this makes me think of that like book series Redwall, and you could just play any character from Redwall as a Kleppen. Um, that's probably gonna age me a little bit with that reference, but um, so the lifespan of a Kleppen, um, they reach maturity around 8 years of age and naturally live to 50 to 60 years. Like, I seems like a fun, cool idea, right? I'm just still like in my head, like a badger, a rabbit, a raccoon, even mice and squirrels. What are some other fun ones, chat? Maybe I'll use chat to help me build a random NPC one day. And it'll all be random questions that I ask you all. All right, I'm going to digress now for a moment. And we're going to go to the Kleppen features. So the starting features that you get as a Kleppen are Scurry and I love that name. When a creature attacks you using reactive actions, their attacks suffer a -2 penalty to hit. I mean, considering how tight the math is in Mythcraft, that -2 could be the difference between getting hit or not getting hit, especially in early level. And then, I mean, okay, so Dana, it talks about being like 2'6" to like 3'8". So I feel like that's a little too. I feel like an ant is a little too small, and it is like humanoid woodland critters, right? Um, so I feel like an ant would be diminutive. There's a lot of size categories for for Mythcraft. Gonna bring up the size chart real quick. Maybe. I'm sorry about this, guys. Yeah, you could be rebel. You could definitely be like a 2 foot tall ant, though, if you wanted. Um, I think there might be lineages uh, that may be better for your ant folk, but they're I'm not going to talk about them yet. This is the Kleppen video, right? As I look for the size chart. I'm sorry for the not so fun content at the moment as I keep trying to find this. I'm very sorry. All right. Okay. Well, I'm gonna give up. I would say that like a normal ant is probably like diminutive in stature. So, oh, I found it. They're actually probably fine. So, creature sizes. Um, and there's a whole table of them. I can probably do a full video with better descriptions on this later, but you have fine, diminutive, tiny, small, medium, large, large, long, large, tall, huge, huge, long, huge, tall, gargantuan, long and tall, colossal, and then titan. Definitely gonna get into that more in another episode. But like we've talked about before, sometimes Kleppen do not have a sublineage. Therefore, you get to choose for this. Actually, for Kleppen, you get to choose 2 options from the all Kleppen feature table at level 1. Because you get Scurry, and then you get to choose 2 at level 1. In addition to that, you get more of these at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 29. And let's get into some of them, shall we? So, what good is a furry little creature if you cannot take bravery? which bravery is the first talent that we can take. And that means whenever a creature tries to frighten you, they must roll 2d20 and use the lower one. I mean, significantly, you're taking that way down. After bravery 1, you can take bravery 2. And that is, you cannot be frightened by creatures. Effects that do not originate from creatures can still frighten you. And then after that, you've got bravery 3. And that just says you cannot be frightened by any source. So now I want to play a rabbit that slowly takes all of these so that I'm no longer the scared little bunny. Okay. We also have Bufferfall, which very similar to the Dragonfolk's Bufferfall. This states that when falling, you can slow your descent and angle your fall. You only take 1d4 falling damage for every 30 feet that you fall. Furthermore, for every 10 feet that you fall, you may choose to move 5 feet horizontally. Which is, drop 30 feet, move 15 forward. No AP cost. You just have to take the 1d4 damage. All right. After that, we have the Burrower talent. Once per rest, you can gain a burrowing speed equal to half your walking speed. You can burrow through soil, dirt, sand, mud, or similar substance, but you cannot burrow through rock, steel, metal, and the like. When you burrow, you leave a large and noticeable tunnel in your wake. Any small creature can squeeze through the tunnel, expending 2 feet of movement for every 1 foot that they move. Essentially, it's difficult terrain. Any tiny or smaller creature can move through the tunnel at normal speed. You cannot burrow more than 10 feet below the surface. Furthermore, burrowing takes a significant amount of energy. Once you begin burrowing, you can only burrow for a number of minutes equal to your endurance +1 for a minimum of 1. This time limit applies even if you do not spend all of the allotted time burrowing. Yeah, I just imagine like playing a little badger or like a mole person that's just like dig a tunnel. After Burrower, we have the option of Burrower 2, which just means you can burrow once per recoup instead of once per rest. Actively doubling, maybe even tripling the amount of times you can use this in a day. Which is awesome. I love it. So next we have Claws, which gain a special attack that costs 2 AP and deals 1d4 sharp damage on a hit. This is considered a natural weapon, and you use your choice of strength or dexterity for the attack and damage rolls. Natural weapons are very strong in Mythcraft, especially if you take things to make them stronger, whether that's a couple levels in Pugilist, maybe talk with your MC, see what they feel about the whole brass knuckles increasing like claw attacks. I've let it work on my tables. I'm not saying everyone will. Talk with your MC, but those claws can get very fun and very flavorful. I start thinking about like a what would be a good one for claws, guys? Like, Again, you could go with like a badger or like, I mean, raccoons have like little sharp claws too, so maybe that. Um, but yeah. So another one that we can go with is climber, which is just gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed. Solid bonus. Like anyone that's played any TTRPGs knows having more ways to move around in your environment just makes solving whatever problem your MC a possum. You're right, Rebel. You're right. When you're right, you're right. A possum would be good with claws. And climber, really. But yeah, so when it comes to like good, having more movement in any type of TTRPG just makes things that much better. Sorry about that. We also have dark vision, which is you can see in darkness to a limit, even without any light source. You cannot discern color while using your dark vision, and while using dark vision, you can see up to 30 feet and then are blind beyond that point. I mean, anyone that's played TTRPGs knows people like playing in a cave. Working underground, lights go off. Hey, I can see 30 feet. Is always a fun thing to bring up, as long as you do it respectfully. After dark vision, we have leap, which is just double your horizontal jump distance. The distance that you can jump is restricted by your movement, and if you do not spend enough AP to complete your jump, then your jump ends when you run out of movement. To me, this feels like a very, if you're going to do it in combat, know your movement, AP, stuff like that. If not, just like enjoy having your horizontal jump distance doubled. I think rabbits would make this would make a real fun one on a rabbit or a possum or an ant. Today's stream might be a little bit on the shorter side, y'all. I'm sorry about that. After leap, we have natural survival. Natural survivor. And natural survivor is a repeatable talent, and you gain +6 skill points that you can spend on any skills with the survival tag. You cannot spend more than 4 skill points in a single skill in this way. I mean, I think we've talked about it before. Skill points are always fun, always nice to have things to add. And there's a lot of good skills with the survival tag. I mean, I'm thinking, you're talking things like animal handling, dungeoneering, foraging, nature, navigating, sheltering, sneaking, and tracking. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there, but still, like, that's some of the stuff a lot of players really like doing. You really like playing with your horse, or like being able to figure out a dungeon, looking for berries. It makes a lot of sense for Kleppen. After natural survivor, we have rodent's cunning, which is another skill point gain It's a repeatable feature. Gain plus 6 skill points that you can spend on any skill with the subterfuge tag. You cannot spend more than 4 points in a single skill in this way. So the subterfuge skills are disguising, evading, forging, lockpicking, and sleight of hand. So I like this one for a possum. Just a little sleight of hand opossum. So the next couple that we have are Scurry 2 and then Scurry 3. Scurry 2 has a character level 5 requirement, and it states that when creatures attack you on your turn, their attacks suffer a -5 penalty to hit. Right? Would be really cool. And then we run into Scurry 3, which is a character level 10 requirement. And it states when creatures attack you on your turn, their attacks suffer a -10 penalty to hit. And like a -5 and a -10 penalties are super strong at those levels. Super strong. Just yeah, and then Scurry 3, the Heckless Skedaddle. But yeah, so as per normal form of these videos, I have a tendency to talk about builds and things that I would like, features that I would use for different builds. I do like the idea. It is definitely the GTFO. Or the Can't Touch This, which it actually would be a build I would work on. So I would probably go like Claws and Bravery at level 1. Probably, yeah, probably play a Possum for Rebel. And then go Scurry 2 and Scurry 3 as I started leveling up. And then probably work my way and, through like the Pugilist pummeling track, which is all about like being able to take hits. So like, I like that idea. Then I also like the rogue that just leaps around everywhere. Again, Scurry 2 and Scurry 3, they're so strong. It's almost hard for me to think of a character that I wouldn't take that with. Because while attacks on other people's turns are not super common, don't listen to Tales of Uvar podcast for this. I have pulled up all of the exploit podcasts, all of the exploit monsters, because my boys over at Tales of Uvar are very good at positioning, and I need every little help I can get. But not every one of them gets a base exploit, right? Some of them just get like, you can use this action to gain an exploit, or use this action to let you make an attack off your turn. So while it's not as common as something as certain other TTRPGs, Um, being able to just say you suffer a -5 penalty to hit when their bonus is, I mean, we're talking character level 5. Their bonus is probably only 3 or 4. I mean, maybe 4. By the time you're that character level, depending on the size of your party, 5 would be kind of pushing it a little bit. But with that being said, like, it's strong. It's very, very strong. And then five later to get a -10. Most monsters don't get a +10 to their rolls until much later in the game. So being able to have that almost self, like, being able to be like, hey, you're not going to hit me on my turn. And knowing that you can escape no matter the outcome is a very strong thing that you're going to want. Like I said, I can see like playing a mage, like a little rabbit in a wizard hat. That, you know, takes scurry 2 and 3, probably natural survivor, and like bravery or buffer fall, probably dark vision, right? And that would be a very fun thematic build. And I think one of my things that I love the most about Kleppen is that, like, we read the traits here. We've got cunning, we got natural survivor, we got leap. Like, all of these things could be so many animals. Right? Right? It would be so very powerful. We have so many animals that we could play that you're only limited by your creativity on what lives in the woods. And like talking with your MC that they're okay with it. Because I mean, I feel like the quasi real team did so well with the Kleppen lineage of, while it doesn't, yeah, even a ferret, Rebel, even a ferret would make a perfect Kleppen. Like, I guess here's my thing. I got distracted a little bit. They hit the flavor point of being a woodland being perfectly without narrowing you down to you're a rabbit folk or you're a badger folk. Perfectly. At least in my opinion. Because you like Rebel said in the chat, you could easily see like a ferret or a badger, or I have a tendency to do raccoons because raccoons are amazing little guys. They're nature's hoarders. But and a lot of their abilities are just good. Like, there's nothing other than Scurry 2 and Scurry 3. There's nothing here that jumps out at me of like, this is the thing you have to take. This is the thing that could make or break a power build. But at the same time, there's nothing that I don't want from these tracks, from these talents. Like, I want everything here, which is fun. That means I have to figure out what is worth it to me to get. And I like that fact. I don't know if all of you like that fact nearly as much as I do, but I like that fact. Um, but yeah, so I'm kind of hoping that our listeners can bring me some questions for me to kind of prolong this episode a little bit. Um, we're only at about the 35-minute mark. No. But yeah, I appreciate every one of you that what would my ideal Kleppen build be? So, do you want me to sit down and okay, my ideal Kleppen build? I would probably go with like a Dex based. Um, I'd use Dex like for my claws probably with Pugilist. To get the bigger damage die for my natural attacks. After, but I probably wouldn't do that right away. I'd probably first dip Warrior, to grab some more talents, then dip Pugilist. So the two talents I would probably grab from Warrior would probably be um a basic dual wield and probably evasive. Basic dual wield would let me make attacks better with my claws because I don't see anyone that would tell me that I couldn't dual wield claws. If they did, I'd look at them like they were funny and then be all right. Um, Evasive lets me, if I'm not wearing armor, use my reflexes in place of my AR. But my AR wouldn't be able to exceed 14 when I do, which is fine. It's fine. After that, I'd probably leave Warrior away. I just want it for the two talents to start out with. Probably, like I said, then go into Pugilist, increase my claw damage die from uh, D4 to a D6. Then I would probably, surprising probably everyone, go down like a magical track, probably. Maybe something like an Oracle for a Fate track, which would let me crit better with my claws, which that would be a very fun thing to have like psionic magic on uh this forest critter. Um it makes me think of our one ferret that I swear used to be able to like convince you to do anything just with a look of his eyes. So I probably go that route. and go down the fate track a little bit. Probably popping out of that when evasive 2 and 3 become uh more useful. Um because evasive 2, your AR cannot exceed 18 when you use this feature, and evasive 3 just states that your AR has no limit when you use this feature. But really, you don't want those before you can exceed 14. Anyway, we're really talking about going outside of water Kleppen on this one, guys. Like I said, I'd probably grab things like Hasten to let me make more attacks. Maybe even advanced dual wielding for me to just 2-1-1-1-1-1. But I don't know. Or 2-1-2-1-2-1. That being said, I think I could turn it into something very fun to play with like some of the psionic like control based magic on top of like running in with my claws to do damage. I'm thinking things like charm person, even body sculpt. I don't know if I would really take body sculpt, but like dominate person, uh, charm person, really go down the psycho, uh, villainy kind of, uh, kind of track, like get that like mind control because who doesn't love looking into the eyes of the little rodent folk and doing what they want? You know you want to listen to me, good sir. And stuff like that, right? Um, yeah. Probably eventually take things like hasten, greater telekinesis, stuff like that. But definitely go down the fate track of the Oracle because like that has some fun buffs, and because you're kind of crit fishing a little bit with that. You're gonna want some luck because it's gonna be your stat, your casting stat. Yeah, it would be. It'd very much be like Puss in Boots Rebel. Um, because I mean, at least that's the way I would flavor it, right? Like, I'm not saying that everyone needs to play Puss in Boots as a Kleppen with a high dexterity and a high luck score. That also goes Oracle and a Warrior Dip and Pugilist before that. Though you can ignore the Pugilist if your MC doesn't let you use the doesn't say that you can dual wield with claws. You can ignore the Pugilist dip and just or ignore the warrior dip and just grab evasive at level 1. And then go pugilist for the increase in claw size, and then oracle for all the fun that can be done there. Like I said, I don't want to get too much. But even like mind wipe, like just like really play into like animals can sometimes make you do things that you didn't think you'd ever want to do. And then haunt you if you don't listen to them. But yeah, thank you for the question. I definitely just spent 14 minutes saying things most people probably aren't going to understand because I haven't really talked about that yet. That's just one example. I mean, I could also see playing. Oh, what's his name? Oh, what's his name? Y'all, I'll be right back. Okay, I could also see you guys playing like Matthias from Redwall, or like Clonny again from Redwall. Uh, okay, I'm gonna be fully honest here, guys. I went to grab my book. Um, and a lot of them, you know, Clonny being the scourge, and you know, Church Mouse with his sword could easily play that as just like a straight cased warrior, or even due to some stuff that happens later on, like you could call him like a reputation zealot, um, which could be really fun. Um, I mean, like I said, you guys could pretty much make anyone out of the Redwall series. You know, you could make you can make Martin. You, which I think would be very fun. You can make Captain Snow, which would be kind of fun, I think. At least that's just me. I know Captain Snow is not unproblematic. Um, again, you could play Matthias, you play Martin, Log. I love Log. All right. But that is to say, if you need inspiration for playing a Kleppen, look at any anamorphic, like humanoid person and use them. Like any beast friends could probably be used, as long as they're not certain other ones. All right, I'm sorry about that, guys. Um, and I really hate that I had to BRB it right before I'm gonna leave, but I do think I'm gonna leave, y'all, for the night. Do any of you have any more questions for me? All right. I will say thank you all for joining me today for Lesson Learned. If you're interested in seeing how we cover the Kleppen lineage, how I handle the Kleppen lineage in my games, check us out over on Tales of Yvard, in our actual play campaign, Tales of Yvard. Wow, I'm really messing up my scripts today. If you all have any topics that you would like us to cover next, or have a particular lineage you would like us to cover next, go ahead and let us know down in the comments below. If you could go ahead and like, subscribe, share the video, I'd appreciate it.